Chapter 4. November. She was transferred to intensive care last night, and she died this morning. The doctors did all they could, but they said her chances of survival were very slim. How did I get here? We're already well into November, yet I feel as though the cocktail party happened just yesterday. When Yves Motter unveiled the statue of the Sphinx that looked exactly like the one I saw in my dream, it was as though I was struck by lightning. There in front of me was the confirmation of an intuition that's clung to me since I've arrived here at the village. The feeling that there was something somewhere that would give meaning to all this. Something that I grasped at, but which slipped between my fingers like a trickle of water. I've decided to consider it as a strength I could tap into, rather than as a bottomless existential abyss. And this belief spreads into something else, something better, that guides me, helps me through the everyday trials of life. Frank went back to the city 3 days ago. He has to supervise some works there. He told me he'd be away until the end of the month at least. I was glad he came and told me after the cocktail party, after Stan. I was afraid he'd be mad at me. But he had the decency not to bring it up. This long absence, though, is he perhaps thinking of leaving the village for good? And then Stan tried to call me. Or rather, my voicemail has been completely deluged with his messages. He begged me to pick up the phone, that we had to talk, didn't dare to answer. I don't know what would happen if I gave him a chance. Miss Daughter? Are you alright? You look upset. What happened exactly? How did she get in the accident? Here's what her sister told me. Béatrice Lévèque took the cliff road to pick up her son, Jean-Baptiste, after his soccer game. The car seems to have skidded on a patch of ice. It's terrible. When I think of her son... Yes, as his class teacher, count on you to be watchful. Jean-Baptiste is going to need our support to get through this. Also, I'm sorry to talk about it under these circumstances, but I did want to see you anyway. I know you're only here as a substitute, but we're very happy with your work so far. As you might have heard, Mr. Galvin is retiring next year. If you're interested, his post could be yours. Well, I might have to pull out all the stops with the academy to convince them we have to keep you during the transition period. That's why I wanted to make sure that you're interested in a permanent job here in the school. I'd be delighted. Excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Ms. Latour, I can't guarantee you Mr. Galvin's post, but I'll do my very best to keep you with us. As for you, don't change a thing, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much, Mr. Chestnut. It's my pleasure. Well, we've been over what I wanted to discuss, but may I ask you something a little personal? Of course, I'm listening. Stop me if I'm wrong, but how can I put this? There's talk in the village. I know you had words with Mrs. Lévèque in the cocktail party. Did you by any chance? I don't know quite how to put it. Well, let me just come straight out with it. Did you by a chance, and reiterate by chance, have any responsibility for Mrs. Lévèque's accident? Absolutely not. Mr. Chestnut, I understand that the people of the village may harbor some romantic notions about my family, but you of all people? I didn't know you shared these beliefs. If you're concerned about the influence of these superstitions on my efficiency as a teacher, let me put your mind at ease. I'm a woman of science. I don't give any credence to these beliefs, and I assure you that my teaching is in no way impacted. There was no question. In that case, I don't see why we're talking about it. Is there anything else, Mr. Chestnut? Well, no, there isn't. Then let me wish you a very good day, sir. Miss Delator. As if today hadn't been emotional enough, when I get to the castle I discover a sports car parked in front of the house. Of course, I've already guessed the identity of its owner. Walking into the hall, I find Stanislal has let himself in and sipping a glass of whiskey as he peruses the family portraits. My heart beats a little harder on seeing him here in my living room. I feel a bit foolish and I try to get myself together before I speak to him. I would have offered you a drink, but it looks like you've already taken the matter into your own hands. It was open, so I let myself in. I'm not sorry since you've kept me on tenterhooks for some time. I'm already on my second refill. I thought school teachers finished work much earlier, don't they? I was held up. Daphne, we went to talk. Looking at the state of my voicemail, I guessed you'd come over sooner or later. I'm listening. After all that's happened, I had to warn you. You need to know about our families, the village, and everything else. I sit on the sofa, ignoring the armchair on the other side of the coffee table. Stanislal sits down beside me. If I could blame the alcohol for his behavior at the cocktail party, I can't continue to ignore the strong signals he's sending my way. Stan takes a deep breath and begins. Of course, there's my father, his projects, and the old quarrel with the Delators, and his sick obsession with the tower. But when I heard about Béatrice Lévèque, that's when I realized the situation was urgent. When I watched you do what you did at the cocktail party, I remembered everything I'd heard since I was a child, all those unbelievable stories of witchcraft. I've never had any real proof that any of it was true, but when I heard she was dead, well, it's been haunting me all day. I had to tell you. I have to know, so I'm just going to lay it on the line. Did you know what you were doing back there? I don't know what to think. Since I came here, I felt things. Between the strange dreams, the castle, and everything I've heard about my family. Yes, I wanted to believe. But now, if the stories are true, then that makes me a murderer. Come on. When Mrs. Lévèque attacked me at the cocktail party, I lost it. I admit that. You can't imagine how guilty I feel. Poor woman, she didn't deserve that. I'm overwhelmed with emotion. I realize I've been holding my tears back since the director broke the news to me. I burst into tears, and Stan takes me in his arms. I let him. I can't believe we've become so close so fast, Stanislal and I. A few minutes later, I tremulously blink away the last tears. When he's sure most of the storm is behind us, Stan gently lets go of me and, looking me straight in the eye while holding me by the shoulders, says, "Please forgive me. I've been terribly inconsiderate. Of course, you couldn't have known what would happen. I keep forgetting you're not from here, and besides, no one told you what's happening in the village. So please, I beg you, don't feel guilty. It's us, the Maltaires, and others around here. We should feel guilty for not warning you." Something else to tell me? I'm afraid I do. My father made you an offer at the cocktail party, didn't he? Well, yes, about the tower, right? He wants to gain access to it, if I understood correctly. Exactly. If he hasn't come to see you yet, it's because he's building his case for the town council. He's got Solène on it, and he's got her working day in and day out. Poor Solène. He wants everything settled before he tells you his plans. What can he really do to me? The house is legally mine. He can't throw me out just like that, for no reason. Maybe, but I assure you, it's no joke. Whatever happens, you mustn't accept it. Why do you want me to refuse so much? I know, Yves. Like it or not, I've been dealing with him since I was born. He's a shark, and considering how much he resents the Delator, I can assure you that whatever he proposes to you will serve his own interests, but more importantly, it will harm yours. What's so special inside the tower? According to legend, the tower has been built in some kind of magical vortex. I feel a bit silly saying this. No, you're not. That would explain a lot. The De La Torres have always been an influential family in the area. Your family has kept their traditions despite the law, and the name De La Torre of the tower goes from mother to daughter, and the eldest daughter has always been the spiritual guide of the community. A kind of Celtic grand priestess, if you see what I mean. Since, well, Christianity never really got very popular around here, as you've probably noticed, the story goes that your ancestor, the Grand Priestess, had a dispute with my ancestor, and my family had no choice but to curse yours to save their honor. Since that time, the Maltaires have accumulated wealth and prospered, while the De La Torres have declined. Fair enough, but all that happened a long time ago. Why keep such an old quarrel alive? Not only did I do nothing to harm your family, but it looks to me like the Maltaires already have the upper hand, don't they? That's where the tower comes in. As I understand it, its blessings have a price, and my father wants to get into it to lift the curse that takes its toll on my family too. And the tower's the key to lifting the curse. But I can't let Eve get inside because he may want to harm me? Exactly. It may sound stupid, but I have to ask, do you know where the entrance to the tower is? No. But everyone in the village knows that it was condemned after the events that tore both our families apart. So why didn't anyone tell me? Don't judge the villagers too harshly. They're naturally suspicious, especially when it comes to us. Should I brace myself for more revelations, or is that it? I guess I've told you most of it, the crux of the matter anyways, but you must have 1,000 questions. Your family, I'm curious. Can you tell me more about them? I think you've already grasped the nuts and bolts. First, there's my parents, Eve and Clotilde. Our relationship's been distant since I've been old enough to understand how they think. What do you mean? How can I sum up the Maltaire method? I would say manipulation and extortion under cover of good breeding, and if that doesn't work, then they throw money in the general direction of the problem until it's kind enough to disappear. Charming. But I'm asking myself, why would they stay in the village? I mean, with so much wealth, they could live anywhere, couldn't they? Yeah, you mean somewhere less remote? You're not wrong, but don't forget they're attached to the area with their beliefs. They're much too afraid of losing their advantages if they leave, I guess. But everything I tell you is only speculation. Eve had decided I wasn't fit to be the number one heir long before I was old enough for him to tell me any of their little secrets. And you? Haven't you ever thought about leaving? Of course, I have, but Solène and her son are stuck here, and I couldn't bring myself to leave them alone in the belly of the beast. Sure, that makes sense. Besides, I strongly suspect my father is, to some degree, responsible for the death of Solène's husband. A good accidental death just the way he likes, whether it's supernatural or not. After all, seeing as his own son wasn't up to the task, he needed an heir to pass his fine values on to, right? But that's awful. Welcome to my world. Of course I'm doing my best to protect Pierre from all this, but I'm afraid I'm fighting a losing battle. He adores his grandfather, of course, and with good reason. He can be a very charming guy when he wants to be. As for Solène, she's always been kept out of it. She's always been the perfect daughter, and my parents, with their traditional values, didn't have many ambitions for her. I think all they wanted for their daughter was a good marriage that would, preferably, help with the family affairs. Stan stops talking, his eyes far away. I'm lost for words. Finally, he breaks the silence before it becomes awkward. Well, that's it. Now you know everything. Tell me about you. What's your life like? What do you want me to tell you? I don't know. What do you do with your days? Do you have ambitions? I can feel him closing up like an oyster. Without meaning to, I guess I've hit a sore spot. I'd like to be able to tell you I have an exciting and fulfilling life, but I'm afraid I'm just a lazy rich kid. I fail at everything I try, and it's not that I lack capabilities, I just don't apply myself enough, or at all, and that's probably worse. tried to get into med school, but I didn't pass the exam. I tried law school, but I'm not as brilliant as my sister. I wanted to play the piano, then to paint, but I had to face the fact I haven't got an artistic bone in my body. In fact, the only thing with any meaning in my life is my sister and my little nephew, Pierre. I don't know what I'd do without them. Well, there it is. That's my life, broadly speaking. I don't do much with my time, to be honest. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. I guess it's not as sexy as you thought. If you don't like it, it's never too late to change, you know? Sure. Shall we talk about something else? Okay, I get it. I'll stop bugging you. Tell me more about your father's plans. As I told you, he wants to get inside the tower, and I'm afraid he'll stop at nothing to do it. If I know him, he'll certainly try to win you over at first. He's currently building a case for the town council to open the tower to the public. In return, they would pay all the maintenance costs. It could be worth listening to his offer, don't you think? The cost to keep the castle afloat can be sneezed at, and the money I got in the will isn't inexhaustible. I don't know how else to say it, and I don't have any proof except my own experience and the trust you may put in my word. But I assure you, to accept anything from my father would be a very bad idea. During your grandmother's time, he was resigned to not getting into the tower, but now things have changed, and he wants to take advantage of the opportunity. I'm sure he'll come up with a very attractive financial deal, and he's counting on your supposed naivete to get what he's after. Alright, let's say I refuse. What happens next? That depends. Depends on what? It depends on whether or not you believe in all this witchcraft stuff. It always comes back to that, doesn't it? Perhaps, but it is a very durable concept for most people who live here. And whatever your feelings about it, EU is still a very real threat. You're not the first person to oppose him, but you've got a few cards up your sleeve that might make you the last. I think we've covered everything. There's still something I wanted to talk to you about. I can see his eyes, what kind of subject we're about to discuss. On one hand, Frank's still in the picture, but on the other hand, where's the risk of seeing if the grass is greener on the other side? Ooh, that's just straight up spend the night. I don't know, man. This feels kinda... yeah, same Theodore. I know what you're about to say. I thought I was clear. I'm sorry, but... Spare me that it's not to it's me speech. I get it. If you change your mind, you know where to find me. Days go by, and still nothing from Yves Maltaire. I must admit, finding out about his plans has left me in a state of permanent apprehension. I try not to worry about it. I mean, really, what's the risk? Even if I decided to accept, in theory, the idea of the supernatural, I have an inexplicable sense of being untouchable, even from a so-called curse from the Maltaire. Maybe it's a bit presumptuous, but I feel like my family name acts as a kind of lucky charm, protecting me from anything bad. Then there's the Bourtines. I haven't seen them in a while. Sometimes I think of Solène Maltaire. I'm not sure I've got her figured out, but I felt there was something going on when I met her at the cocktail party. Perhaps I could call her? Maybe we could see each other again? What should I do? When I knock on the lodge door, Mrs. Bourtines answers. Oh, hello, miss. What brings you here? It looks as though she's put her knitting aside to greet me. Next to the fire in an armchair, I make out the silhouette of Mr. Bourtines. He looks at me over his newspaper, local news, and puffs on his pipe as I enter the room. He nods me a greeting. I was just passing to see how you are. It's been a while since we saw each other. Ah, yes it has. Time flies. When my husband and I heard about Mrs. Lévèque, we felt terrible for the poor woman. Smells like another Maltaire trick, if you're asking me. I'm afraid it's not the Maltaire's fault this time. You mean? Yes, I think it's my fault. I didn't know. How could I? No one told me anything. Oh, miss, I'm so sorry. If I'd guessed the legends were true. Did you hear that, Gerard? We should have warned her. Mr. Bourtines lays his newspaper down on his knees and regards us with a piercing gaze. Come on, Gilbert. You were saying just a couple of days ago that those stories were nothing but stories. What's done is done, Mr. Bourtines. But if you know anything, it's high time you told me, don't you think? I get the feeling there are a lot of things I don't know about the village, my family, the Maltaires. Tell me what you know about the tower and the local legends. What do you want to know precisely? Tell me about the tower. What they say is that the region is magical. It used to be a place of pilgrimage. In the old days, people came to be healed or to join the festivities for the passing of the seasons. I couldn't tell you why, but the legends say that your ancestors used to perform miracles. My ancestors? The Delators? Yeah, the Delators, but this was before they built the tower. I don't know what they were called back then. Also, your family had a duty to protect the village. As the place was magical, it attracted demons, and there are rituals to be performed so that the source of power wasn't polluted by these evil spirits. When the Christians colonized the country, the region closed in on itself. The villagers built a tower over the source to keep it secret. The village became a place of remembrance. I didn't know this period. It was so long before I was born. It was my grandmother who told me the stories of before the Maltaires arrived. What have the Maltaires got to do with all this? It began with Yves' grandfather, old Gustave Maltaire. When he was a child, the Delators fostered him at the castle because he had a gift for miracles. He was an orphan from a family of marsh folk. To be fostered like that was very lucky for him, but apparently it wasn't enough. He wanted more. I knew him a little. He was already an old man, but he was a difficult character. I remembered he used to give me the creeps when I was a girl. Anyway, it's since then that the Maltaires began to amass their fortune. That's when the accidents started to happen. If anyone went against the Maltaires, something bad happened to them every time. And then the Delators began to wither away. In the end, there was only your grandmother left. And then you came. Why didn't you tell me all this before? You came from the city, you didn't know anything about all this. If we told you about spirits of the forest or magical sources, what would you have thought? And we thought it was just old stories. We weren't born in the time of miracles. We don't know much anyway, my husband and I. Tell me what you know about this curse. I can't tell you much, miss. The Delators were known to be miracle work makers, but it's been a long time since anything like that has happened. Hasn't been in my lifetime, but in the old days they used to say that your family had a gift. Can you tell me what happened with Mrs. Lévèque? Maybe it will jog my memory. I tell her what happened. Must have been the words you said without realizing, and the wound that must have been what unleashed the spell. If I had known, I would have been more careful. It's a shame your grandmother is no longer with us. She would have explained everything to you. Yes, I imagine she must have known a lot more about all this. And yet I still think that maybe it's a Maltaire trick. That would be pretty twisted, don't you think? Oh well, nothing would surprise me with those lowlifes. By the way, Gerard saw the Maltaire's boy's car in the yard the other day, didn't you, Gerard? I hope he wasn't bothering you. Yes, he did drop in, but don't worry, he behaved himself. I'm glad to hear that. If he bothers you, just give us a call. Gerard has been looking for an excuse to put a cartridge in that one's rear end for a long time. Thank you, but I don't think that will be necessary. Tell me more about Mrs. Lévèque. You seem to know her. I wouldn't exactly say know her. Let's say she was the talk of the village some years back. Really? Why? Her husband was a brute, the type who drinks too much, if you see what I mean. There were several incidents. It went on for a few years. Béatrice Lévèque would never have filed for divorce. And yes, he used Maltaire, was very supportive when her husband disappeared. Disappeared? Do you mean he died? No, well, I don't know, just like that. He was never seen again. They say Yves Maltaire drove him out of the village. Béatrice Lévèque was sure it was thanks to the Maltaires, as she worked at the town hall. Well, it was best not to speak ill of Mr. Mayor when she was around. I see. That said, Yves did a good thing there, didn't he? That depends. No one really knows what happened to Lévèque, and even so, one good deed doesn't redeem a lifetime of wrongs, does it? But that means her son, Jean-Baptiste, is an orphan? Well, yes, but don't worry too much about him. His aunt took him in. You must know her. She's the wife of the fishmonger, you know, at the market. They're a good family. I'm sure they'll take care of him, as if he was their own. That's some consolation, at least. I have to go. Thanks for answering my questions. So, now you know everything. Well, Gerard, we told her everything, didn't we? Mr. Bourtines puffs on his pipe, thinking, then nods in agreement. My wife and I were just the wardens. We were never in the know. Your grandmother, she could have told you, warned you. I have to know more. Who else can give me answers? There's only the Maltaire who might know more, and yet Yves would know for sure. I'm not sure even his wife or his children are in his confidence. But surely there's somebody else, isn't there? Yes, there's Sophie, your mother. She's the last delator to know the secrets. That's a bombshell. When I call Solène, she's surprised to hear from me, but she welcomes the idea of having a coffee together. We meet up in the afternoon in a small tea room with a terrace that looks out on a tree-filled square. Solène is waiting for me, cup in hand, watching her son who plays with the other children in the playground next to the terrace. The reason for the choice of this tea room is suddenly clear considering the strategic location it represents for the young mothers of the village. But since my miscarriage, I avoid these kinds of places like the plague, as they tend to dredge up a stew of bad memories. I try to keep my face composed as I sit down with Solène. I guess I don't do a great job since she asks me with a concerned face. Are you alright? Yes, sorry, it's kind of the cafe. With the playground, it reminds me of a time in my life that was difficult. Yes, of course. What an idiot. I should have known, seeing you as you're a delator. What do you mean? Well, the delators always had childbearing issues. There is a hush. Sorry, that was inconsiderate. No, it's nothing. It's me. I shouldn't let myself turn back to that page of my life so easily, or I'll never get past it. But what do you mean about the delators always had childbearing issues? That's something they say in the village, you know, all the local stories. It seems that the delators, in exchange for being the spiritual leaders of our community, had to pay a kind of tribute. And that tribute was the sacrifice of the firstborn of each generation. Or not. It would explain why I lost my baby. It's just what they say in the village, but if it gives you some solace, then I'm glad. She smiles gently, and I sense that she's truly sorry for me. We chat for a while. The conversation is frequently interrupted by Pierre-Yves, who wants to show us a fascinating stone, to ask for a cookie, or to recount the incredible adventure that just happened to him in the playground's fort. It's Solène who finally cuts to the chase, saying out of nowhere, "So, now that we're through with the niceties, we can get to the real reason you called, don't you think? I'm fairly sure Stan has told you about my father's plan, and you want to ferret out more information, don't you?" Our conversation has suddenly become a minefield. I need to choose my next words very carefully. I didn't come here for that, but since you're asking, I must admit I'm curious to know more. Ah, I knew it. You daughters really are all the same. But no, I knew it was too good to be true, that you had to have a hidden agenda when you called. She stands up and, glaring down at me, says, "Don't waste your time. You won't get anything out of me." She takes her son by the hand, and then they leave in a haste. As for me, I stay there, dazed and slightly wounded by what's happened. Even if I have no real proof, something tells me that Solène's disproportionate reaction is the result of Yves' determination to undermine me. I pay the bill, go back to the castle. And I thought that would be a safe option as well. Days go by, then weeks, and Yves Maltaire is conspicuously by his absence. I try to concentrate on my classes at school, but after all the revelations, my mind is often elsewhere. And to top it all off, the principal told me I was going to be inspected by the local education authority, which adds to the general climate of anxiety. I'm in the forest. It's the same dream again, the one I had last month. I have a sense of déjà vu, but something has changed. I run to escape the presence that follows me. Once again, I reach the pool in the clearing. I draw closer to glimpse my reflection. It's the same image as last time, but it's more precise, almost more real. My hair is longer and it's completely white. My eyes seem to shine with a strange light. There is something magical, for lack of a better word, in my appearance. I like the mysterious side, the wildness that I see in this Daphne. Touch the reflection, and after a moment of darkness, I'm back in the garden. When I come to the statue of the Sphinx, her gaze is different. She looks ahead with defiance and determination. That's when everything changes. I'm driven by the strength and stability that seems to emanate from the statue. This time, I don't let myself fall into the darkness. This time, I find the courage to turn around and confront the threat that the Sphinx stares, her gaze immovable. That's when I see the beast for the first time. We watch each other for a second that seems to last forever. Then the beast hurls itself at me. It's at that moment, when its claws are poised to lacerate my belly, that I shudder awake.